So we've looked at some multiple choice questions, and if you know those, then this is going to be super easy for you, and you can probably like fast forward a little bit and just kind of go through if you understood those multiple choice questions. But if those multiple choice questions are making you scratch your head still, this is going to become something that is helpful for you. So we looked at that graph on the worksheet, but now I'm making you draw it, because on the test it's very possible that you will have to draw a scenario, a graph with a positive externality. Now all you need is price on one side and quantity demanded and supplied on the other. You don't need these numbers. But the first thing you got to do is be able to label these curves. So the first thing, these curves are with no added benefits. These are just your standard supply and demand graph. So this is really just your marginal private cost here. Remember, we associate cost with our supply curve. And this is our marginal private benefit. Okay? Now the question is, we have a positive externality. This is Mr. Sutton playing Mozart before class. So we have an added benefit. So that means that we need another demand curve. So the marginal benefit, let's think of it, we're not going to think of the marginal benefit as anything. We're just going to think of the benefits as our demand curve and the supply as our cost. But we have added benefits here. So let me get this out. So now I need to make a reflection. I need to make a demand curve that reflects the benefits to everyone. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it like this. Okay? And so notice the benefits of this curve are higher at every single quantity. Here at 50, the benefits are up here, and so on and so forth down the line. So we're going to label this. This isn't the private benefits. Now I'm considering everybody. So this is the marginal social benefit. Or as Mr. Morton on our worksheet termed it, this is the total benefit. On the AP test, they're going to use social benefit. Now, the question is, we only have one cost curve here, because remember we talked about Mr. Sutton pays all the cost here, and you guys, you little freeloaders, pay none of the cost. So this is not just your marginal private cost, but also your marginal social cost here, because there's no difference between the cost I paid and the cost that you paid. So our social cost and our private costs are essentially the same here. Now the question becomes how you label this. So on the test, they may ask you for what's called the free market quantity here. So I'll do this. I'm going to type this in, free market quantity. All right? And maybe they ask you for the free market quantity and price. So I'm going to label these in purple. I'm going to actually circle them on my graph. Okay? So the free market is when we only worry about ourselves. Private. So free markets like this, boom, where do those intersect? Right here, right? So your free market quantity would be 50. On the test, if you're drawing this, they may ask you to label it as like QF or something like that, or QP, and whatever you label it is just dictated by the question. Now the other one that they might ask you, and I'll do this one in red, they might ask you for the socially optimal quantity slash price. And then, now you're not just thinking about yourself, you're thinking about the entire society. So if you go and find your social curves, oh, right here. So now I dot down, and a lot of times maybe they ask you to label it QS, let's say, and that's what you would do. Since I don't have a number here, I'm not circling it this time. And they might do the same thing here. They might say, what's the price? And I'll say P2. Okay? Now, since the private market is not producing enough, this is the problem with a positive... Alright, sorry about that. So Miss Bell got the free parking spot in the bus loop for next week. Anyways, so as I was saying, the free market does not produce as much as society would like, or should like, or as much as societal costs and benefits would say we should. So we are underproducing here. So if we're underproducing, this isn't efficient. This is a sign of inefficiency. Well, what goes along with inefficiency? Let me get green here. Inefficiency equals, anybody? Think of the things that gave us inefficiency. Taxes, price controls, right? Here, I'm going to... And apparently, right now, a positive externality. So what do we do here if we want to fix this problem? Well, we need to increase the benefit. We need to get people to produce more. So what are we going to do? We need a subsidy here to encourage people to produce. And if you notice, what size would the subsidy be according to this graph? Well, you need this benefit curve to increase, right? You need it to bump up. So what you got to do, you're looking at the space again between the two demand curves. So if I go, oh, where's my pointer? Like this. So this looks like, what's the distance? 150 here up to, I don't know, call it 275. Call it 250. 100, 125. Now, when they make you draw this, they're not going to, they obviously can't tell you specifically how much it should increase or what the size of the subsidy would be. But if they had a graph and you had to look at it, then they could do that. So this would be the per unit subsidy required to address externality, right? So a positive externality requires a subsidy to fix it. Well, if I return to this idea of inefficiency, what do I get when I have taxes, price controls, positive externality, monopolies? What do all of these things have in common with their graphs? They all have dead weight loss, right? So where is the dead weight loss? So if this is the efficient point here, I should produce QS, but I only produce back here at 50. Well, it means it has to be between these 2 points. And so your dead weight loss, remember, it always makes the triangle that points to the efficient level of output. So it should look something like that. That's your dead weight loss right there from a positive externality. Now, take a chance, or take a stab here. Try the negative externality on your own. See if you can label the graphs. You're going to use these same labels. It's just going to look slightly different. Notice, on the Morton sheet, he makes the lines so they're not parallel. But for your purposes and our purposes, we can just make them parallel. And that's perfectly okay. That's the way they show up on the AP test. That's to be expected. And look at that. My arrow is actually like a real arrow here. But notice that the per unit subsidy is really right here. It's this distance. Okay. And let me just finally add over here. Dead weight loss is what goes with inefficiency. Okay. So try the other one and see if you can do it. And then if you're good, don't even worry about the next video. But if you're not, check yourself on the next video. Okay. Let me know if you have any trouble. Bye.